Welcome to IGCSE Bob. Today's subject will be history. This is a continuation of a previous video. Today we're going to talk about the Berlin Wall. Why was the Berlin Wall built? You have already seen how important Berlin was as a battleground of the Cold War. In 1961, it also became the focus of the Soviet Union's last attempt to maintain control of its East European satellites. Crushing of the Hungarian uprising had confirmed for many people in Eastern Europe that it was impossible to fight the communists. For many, it seemed that the only way of escaping repression was to leave altogether. Some wished to leave Eastern Europe for political reasons. They hated the communists, while many more wished to live for economic reasons. As standards of living in Eastern Europe fell further and further behind the West, the attraction of going to live in a capitalist state was very great. The contrast was particularly great in the divided city of Berlin. Living standards were tolerable in the East, but just a few hundred meters away in West Berlin, East Germans could see some of the prized exhibits of capitalist West Germany. Shops full of goods, great freedom, great wealth, and great variety. This had been deliberately done by the Western powers. They had poured massive investments into Berlin. East Germans could also watch West German television. In the 1950s, East Germans were still able to travel freely into West Berlin. From there, they could travel on into West Germany. It was very tempting to leave East Germany, with its harsh communist regime and hard-line leader Walter Ulbricht. By the late 1950s, thousands were leaving and never coming back. Those who were defecting were very often highly skilled workers or well-qualified managers. The communist government could not afford to lose these high-quality people. More importantly, from Khrushchev's point of view, thousands of Germans fleeing communist rule for a better life under capitalism undermined communism generally. In 1961, USA had a new president, and Khrushchev thought he could bully Kennedy into withdrawing from Berlin. Kennedy refused. So on Sunday, 13th of August, 1961, East German soldiers erected a barbed wire barrier across the entire frontier between East and West Berlin, ending off free movement from the East and West. Families were divided. Berliners were unable to work. Chaos and confusion followed. Border guards kept a constant lookout for anyone trying to cross the wall. They had orders to shoot people trying to defect. Hundreds were killed over the next 3 decades. So how did the West react to the Berlin Wall? For a while, the wall created a major crisis. Access to East Berlin had been guaranteed to the Allies since 1945. In October 1961, U.S. diplomats and troops crossed regularly into East Berlin to find out how the Soviets would react. On the 27th of October, Soviet tanks pulled up to Checkpoint Charlie and refused to allow any further access to the east. U.S. and Soviet tanks fully armed faced each other in a tense standoff, and after 18 hours, one by one, the tanks pulled back. Another crisis, another retreat. The international reaction was relief. Khrushchev ordered Ulbricht to avoid any actions that would cause increased tension. Kennedy said it was not a very nice solution, but it was a hell lot of better than a war. So the wall stayed, and over the following years became a symbol of division the division of Germany, the division of Europe, the division of Communist East and Democratic West. The Communist presented a wall as a protective shield around East Berlin. The West presented as a Princeton Wall. This is the end of the video. In the next video, we'll be talking about solidarity in Poland. IGCSE Bob signing off.